Hi there. My name is John, but you could call me Urban. I'm a photographer and videographer based in New York City. Today, I'll be analyzing a few of my recent street photography images and explain why I took them and why I edited them the way that I did. Now I want to start with a question. To edit or not to edit? I'll come back to it in a few minutes. Recently, I've been shooting with the Fujifilm X100T, the compact camera from Fuji that dropped in 2014. It is perfect, quintessential for the New York City streets where the hustle and bustle is nonstop. Every corner, every street, every avenue, something new, fun, exciting, thrilling happening all the time. I try to go out 2 or 3 times a week to find a slice in time that tells a story, but also gets weird and playful. I like to think of street photography as playing with perspectives and seeing in ways that are otherwise blinded. Join me as I show you a few photos from my recent outing in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. The first one is a practice in street photography I try to get each time I'm out. I'm looking for colors, words, ads, or other things on the street that match. It's a simple but effective way of seeing and using your environment for patterns. There are a lot more patterns in our walks than we think. I'm not huge on the framing of this, nor the subject, but why not snap it? In the end, it's all practice. They happen to be wearing a blue shirt, so I set up my frame and pressed the shutter button. As you can see, I cropped this image a bit, straightened it out, and centered it as best as I could. I raised the texture slightly and lowered the highlights since I was shooting a white background. I try to keep the edits limited to street photos. Editing them too much can change the story entirely. Now if I could reshoot this, I'd move back more and try to get the subject frame better center in the photo as they are running out of the screen. The second image shows a confusing but intriguing composition. I looked and waited for the right subject and their placement. It places them in the background, looking farther away than they actually are. That's what we call scale. Scale, 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 scale. It's so important in photography and can dramatize and improve a photo. If anything, a scaled image is the one in itself. What does the foreground seem to be? Think about it for a moment. That's right, the hood of a car. The subject in pink is a lot closer than it seems. The bend and placement with the foreground changed the way of seeing this composition. When looking left to right, the line goes up most of the way, making our eyes move towards the subject. They're also in the center, placing most of the emphasis on them. I could have backed up and had the car more in the frame, but then you'd see more of the subject, placing them in a more boring context. The subject is the guy in the pink shirt. However, another subject is the guy in the pink shirt placed in the scaled frame. Do you get the interpretation of that? It's a bit complicated. When you think about it, there are always multiple subjects. You just have to look a little closer and dig a little deeper. The third image is similar to the first and the second image, trying to mix colors and words in the environment and use a subject to emphasize their role. The patterns continue. I cropped this image and changed the exposure some, cranking the whites and the shadows. Based on the first photo, I'm sure you can tell what I was going for. The words stand out. I noticed that it helped enhance the surrounding area. I got lucky with the subject producing scale. See how the two correlate? I really enjoy looking for correlations when walking around. Connection is such an important idea, whether it be physical, emotional, or interpretive. This image was hard to frame since the X100T has a fixed 23mm lens, 35mm on full frame, and the scaffolding was high up. If I could reshoot this, I'd love to be level with the man in the bottom right corner. This fourth image is much different than the others. It's a close-up, the environment is contained, and this time it's in black and white. A softer image, empty of color, alluding to a more emotional image. The kid appears to be asleep and is hanging with his arm out of the car. Taking the photo, I was interested in his physical state. It drew me in without much thought. Yes, he was alive and breathing. So why is he asleep in the car? Why this uncomfortable looking position? Although he may feel as though he is sleeping on a cloud. Why is he just out there, windows down on the street by himself? Asking questions while photographing is crucial. It can help build the story and make you compose a stronger shot. I decided to crop this image a bit to hone in on his sleepy state and to get the left arm in the bottom left corner, following the rule of thirds. I enjoy the reflection the card gives of his arm. If you look closely, you can find 3 hands. Reflection builds layers in photos and enhances this image, alluding to more than one layer of the story. I like how you can't see his face, adding a level of mystery. No face, no trace, and no name, leaving me and you to think about who this kid may be. I would like to pause for a moment and return to the question that I proposed in the beginning. To edit or not to edit? Now, there are many routes you can go down when discussing this topic. However, with street photography and other forms of documentation, I believe that there is only a point that you can go so far until it no longer is the reality and the photograph is in a way untrue, and it becomes more about the edit rather than the composition. And that's where it gets finicky. So, since I edited my photographs, are they even the true reality? This is something that I'd like to come back to in the future and delve into a deeper discussion. So, for now, let's return to 2 more images that I have. The 5th image is simple, one I reluctantly took because it felt like I was taking the picture rather than making it. It tells the story of a car crash, I'm assuming, due to the destruction of the fence, and it feels more like I'm documenting in a less thoughtful sense. The colors I enjoy, blue and orange, go great together. I didn't edit the photo much, only bringing down the highlights so I could bring up the whites to enhance the colors and added contrast slightly for the same touch. In a way, the colors are the subject. It's what pops. The image is more still than the others, which throws me off. It lacks emotion from the subject, though it is a clear indicator of prior danger. So perhaps that is the emotional aspect of it. It doesn't reach out and touch me as much as the others, but it still has a story to tell, as do most photographs. I would like to discuss the concept of images telling a story and the difference between taking and making a photograph in the future. Hold me to it. I know it'll get funky, but thought-provoking. This last image I threw in as a bonus. One of my favorite subjects is cars, mostly older ones seen less frequently. It's a cliche photo, but why should someone put me or you down for it, especially if it is fun to take? That goes for any shot. Anyway, this is not the true image. I cropped it immensely and photoshopped it slightly, getting rid of the bumper of the modern, less lovely car behind it. I'm going against all the photographic rules I set for myself. However, I want no distractions for this car. I like the framing against the raises. It almost keeps it in the confines of the brick and cool front doors. Perhaps it is the car of someone who works there. Cars are an excellent subject because of their stillness and effortless good-looking aesthetic. This one's color works with the background, another eagerness for patterns. Next time you're out, look at the cars that catch your eye and see how well they work in the environment. Sounds like I'm giving homework. And that's a wrap on the photograph analysis today. I really enjoyed making this and spreading some of the knowledge that I have about photography. It's really interesting to really delve deep into our way of seeing, specifically mine. But I'd also like to know how you see it in your way, because we all think differently. So let me know in the comments below. You can find my website where I have all my images, links, things like that at www.urbanvisual.com. Don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always down for a chat about photography, but anything. I'm interested in so much. So thank you all. Have a wonderful, fantastic, superb rest of your day.